Merry Christmas, everyone. Welcome to the office with our team. We are so honored to be a part of the Lift family, and it's just exciting for us to take a minute and to share with you guys some of the things that are important to us about Christmas and some of the things that we hope that you will be engaged in yourself as we look at the work of Christ in our life. We're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to talk about some of the Christmases past and probably not Christmases future, but we're going to talk about some
Kind
of
of
the
like counting your chickens before they hatch.
before they hatch, yeah. And frankly, none of us are fortune tellers, so which is a good thing. So, but before we get started, we want to take just a minute and we're going to share the Christmas story with you. Actually, Ronette's going to share the Christmas story. When I grew up as a little boy, my parents made us make sure that we were all focused in on the true purpose of Christmas. So on Christmas morning, we'd get up and we are so excited about presents and all the things that kids do when you're a little person. And
your dad said time out.
Yeah, my dad said time out, pulls us all in around the tree with those presents glaring at us from the tree.
He could at least pull you like in the dining room.
Oh, no. We were right
at...
there. You're going to look at them, but you're going to understand that that's not the reason
rip
we're
the
here.
corner while you're waiting, just like a little bit?
We didn't even have them in our hands.
Oh.
I feel like that's maybe something Ronnie did.
We
Never
couldn't
did
touch
that.
them.
It's confession.
Sorry.
Anyway, we would stop and read the Christmas story, so we're going to do that today. Ronette's going to read the story for us, and this kind of makes me feel like this is the moment where you actually just strike up the band, and
No.
Yeah.
cue music.
Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and family line of David, to be registered along with Mary, who was engaged to him and was pregnant. While they were there, the time came for her to give birth. Then she gave birth to her firstborn son, and she wrapped him tightly in a cloth and laid him in the manger, because there was no guest room available for them. In that same region, shepherds were staying out in the fields and keeping watch over their flock. Then the angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, for look, I proclaim to you good news of great joy that will be for all people. Today in the city of David a Savior was born to you, who is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign to you. You will find the baby wrapped tightly in cloth and lying in a manger." Suddenly there was a multitude in the heavenly hosts with this angel, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest in heaven, and on peace on earth to people he favors." When the angel had left then and returned to heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let's go straight to Bethlehem and see what has happened, which the Lord has made known to us." They hurried off and found both Mary and Joseph and the baby who was lying in the manger. After seeing them, they reported the message they were told about this child. And all who heard it were amazed and what the shepherds had said to them. But Mary was treasuring all of these things up in her heart and meditating on them. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all the things that they had seen and heard, which were just as they had been told.
So the Christmas story is so real and rich with meaning, and we don't have time to go into all of the theology behind the story of Christmas, but it's let's just say it's the moment in which life is injected into the darkness of this world, and how grateful we are to be individuals who have been recipients of that life and that light into our own personal darknesses. So we're really thankful for what God has done. So we're going to take a minute, have a little fun. We're going to talk about our Christmases past. What is your favorite Christmas gift ever? Does somebody need me to talk first?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I think Ronnie's ready.
She's ready.
course,
Go with
it's
it, big
easy.
shot. Let's go.
My favorite gift ever was my puppy, Addie.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I have multiples. But,
Was it like
um,
under the tree in a
Nope.
box? Like
Nope.
bag?
No, it was actually a pretty cool story because Jim's dad wanted a dog, and this was when Jim's dad was still alive.
Mhm.
And so his mom said, I'm not going to get a dog, specifically a dachshund, unless Jim gets one for Ronnie because that's my favorite dog. And so she found a breeder, and there was a boy and a girl left. And so Buddy came. At the time, her name was Missy. They named her Missy because they didn't know what to name her. So Mom brought home Missy and Buddy, and actually trained them for the first
Very unique
3
names.
months. Yeah, very creative right there. So they brought him home. She actually did the pot. She doesn't even really like dogs. She did the potty training in like the first several months, and so I knew that Irvin had gotten a dog, and so I was excited to get there for Christmas and see Buddy. But I didn't know Buddy had a sister, and so I got in the house and I wanted to see Buddy right away. And Buddy was sitting on Irvin's lap, and I'm like, ah, Buddy. And Jim, they had positioned Addie. I don't remember if she was on
On
your
my
shoulder.
shoulder.
Yeah. And
Like a parrot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she was little. And so they had positioned her up there, and he rolled into the room, and he's like, Renette. And I'm so busy with Buddy, I'm not even paying attention because I just love dogs. And he's like, Renette. And I'm like, what? And I turn around, and I'm like, there's 2 dogs. There's 2 dogs!
That's
And one
funny.
was mine.
Nice.
Yeah, I got
Very good.
sucked into that one.
Yeah, you did. She's a great dog.
I remember, I don't know if this was my favorite gift, but maybe the most memorable gift was, I was probably like 9 or 10, and we had a cat. Talk about unique names that aren't unique at all. We had a cat named Miss Kitty growing up.
Yeah, Miss
Kitty.
Very neat.
Goes with Missy and
Was she in the saloon?
Yeah, it actually, she was named after that. Is that Gunsmoke? Was it Gunsmoke?
Yeah, Gunsmoke, yeah.
Yeah, so, yes, that's a different story. So Miss Kitty would always hide underneath my parents' bed. And so I went to look for Miss Kitty. Like, it sounds, because I was a mischievous little child. My parents know that.
you?
Yeah, I know. Hard to believe.
Shocker.
But I wasn't looking for anything other than Miss Kitty, and I found one of my Christmas presents early. And it was a remote control, like, dune buggy.
Oh,
Like with the nice
Nice.
big, like real wheels on it, not the plastic
That
ones
fit
that just
under the
spin. Yeah, it was a high bed, and I just remember having to play it off that I hadn't seen it, and that was not easy for 10-year-old Ryan to
Yeah.
do. And I don't even remember if I pulled it off or if they probably found out and knew about it, but. I found the dune buggy underneath my parents' car. Or underneath their bed, not underneath their car. That'd be a horrible place to hide a gift.
Under a car.
Yeah, every time you go to back up, you just run it over. So it was under their bed, not their
That's
car.
funny.
So yeah, I remember that though. And the guilt, like I felt guilt, but also like I was super excited. Yes, this is gonna be the best Christmas ever.
Yep.
So, I want mine.
I hear you.
You guys?
Well, I want to go with a favorite gift from being a child, and then a favorite gift as an adult.
You
So,
overachiever.
I am.
He's
So when I
always
was-
showing us up like
Did you say
that.
we could do 2? I don't.
Well,
Anyways,
I'm
as
gonna-
long as you're fast.
He's taking
So-
it.
What are you saying?
As a child, I was 12 years old, and there was this big box underneath the Christmas tree with my name on it, and it was my parents made me wait till the last gift to open, and it was a 5-gallon aquarium.
Nice.
Ooh.
And the next day,
That's no small gift.
we went to the pet store and picked up some fish.
Nice.
And then as an adult,
Okay, wait, I have to ask, how long did they live?
I had
Fish?
there were 4 or 5 goldfish, and I had those goldfish for about 6 years.
That's pretty
Well,
good.
that's pretty
5,
good.
6
That's pretty
years.
good. I thought you were going to say they're still alive.
I think we had ours 2 weeks.
They might be alive somewhere. But favorite gift as an adult, Sarah and I were traveling a couple years ago in Switzerland, and she bought me a Swiss watch.
Oh,
Of
wow.
course.
So it was very nice.
That's
Do
good.
you have it
gift.
on?
I don't have it on today.
Oh, well, there's a
Man.
missed
Had I,
opportunity.
had I actually,
That would've been
I would have
been
worn it,
great.
but no, I don't have it on today.
It's awesome.
Elizabeth, you got a favorite gift?
Yes.
Hmm.
My favorite gift was when I was 10 years old. I liked playing with Barbie dolls, so I liked it when I got dolls every Christmas. It's like,
Nice. Do you have a favorite Barbie doll that you ever got?
yeah, like the Ken and Barbie, those collections.
The
I liked,
collection.
Nice. The classic.
yeah, the
Yeah.
classic.
Nice. Nice.
You are really familiar with Barbies. So.
Hey, I
Hey,
grew
he's
up
got girls.
two
you know.
sisters. I got girls. Stacy used to collect the holiday Barbies. Not as an adult, but her teenage years still holding on to those. So
That's funny.
they're still in the box.
You, sir?
So,
I know it, I
Renette
know
knows this story already, but when I was a kid, my bedroom was upstairs. I could still kind of.
That's really funny.
It's kind of crazy.
I don't even know where this story's going. It's
So
not a good story already.
So I wanted a drum set for Christmas, and so I remember being in my bed above the living room, and Santa fell,
Oh,
Santa fell.
and
Please explain.
all the cymbals started going off, and the drums were beating, and all that kind of stuff. And I just smiled and went back to sleep because I knew exactly what I was getting that.
so Santa
that
was
day.
arranging the gifts and chipang.
And symbols are not quiet.
Okay.
They are not. And I think I played on it for about 2 weeks.
Oh, and you were done.
Yeah,
Or were your parents done?
well, probably both.
That's a loud gift.
Did
Wait.
you take lessons or did you just?
I did not. I just-
like the what's
I
that?
don't even know. I don't even know what happened with those things. I was kind of
That was a long time
I was
ago.
kind of that child that grew up, with like, I get my toy and then I was done.
Oh,
Man.
That's kind of the way I was. I was kind of spoiled.
he still kind of does that.
Anyway. So, as we look back at those Christmases, we all have those moments of memory where we're gathered there with the fun going on, whether everybody was a free-for-all and they just tore into their gifts, or if, like in my families, we made sure we had to go around the circle and give everyone some attention as they opened their gift. And so, whichever your family history is or your traditions are, you look back at those moments and you just think about all the things that brings back to your heart, brings back to your life. And we've been talking a lot here in the office about home and what does that presence of home mean to us. And I think the Christmas story is a lot like that. As you look back at the different pieces of the story, almost everything that happened on that day happened as a symbol of something else. And I'll just give you a couple of examples of this. For example, the Jesus was laid into the manger. We know later on that he is the bread of life, right? So it's a representation, a symbol that he is going to feed the world with his life. And we know that he was wrapped in swaddling clothes. Those were just little pieces of cloth that were laying around the manger area and the little shed that he was born in, so that they could wrap young sheep or baby sheep as they were born into the world. They took that cloth and would wrap the sheep, the little lambs, in that cloth. And so here we have the Lamb of the world being wrapped into the cloth that represents the lamb. And what did the lambs do? They grew up and were sacrificed for the world. And so Jesus, being wrapped in those little claws, was the Lamb of the world, the Lamb of God coming to this world so that he would be the sacrifice for each of us. It's powerful. The three kings came in a couple of years later, and the kings were bringing gifts. And there were three specific gifts that they gave: the gift of gold and the gift of frankincense and myrrh. And gold is a representation of the royalty of Jesus and how that he came from the throne of God into our world. Frankincense is a symbol of the spirit life of Jesus. It represents the fragrance of Jesus. Myrrh is the symbol of humanity. Jesus became human for us to have life. Isn't that interesting? So I've really been thinking a lot about symbols this year and things that have meaning to me. So I've been really kicking that around in my brain and my heart, and just we were just talking about it, and I've been thinking about what am I going to give to Jesus that's going to symbolically be my surrender to him and my reflection of him to the world. Have you guys thought about any of that before? What represents something in your life that you can give that will be a symbolic worship? The scriptures say that the wise men fell on their knees. Falling on your knees is a sign of worship. And that's what they were doing that day. And so I think it's important that we kind of zero in on something in our life that we can dedicate and commit to Christ as our symbol back to the Father, that his gift that day meant something and had great meaning for us. Have y'all thought about that?
Yeah, actually, it reminds me of a tradition that we have, that we don't wait till New Year's. A lot of people wait till New Year's to make resolutions, but before we open any gifts in our household, everybody gets a piece of paper and an envelope, and you write to Jesus what you're going to give back to him in the year to come, and you seal it. And then in the years following, you can open your old ones if you want to and see like whether you made good on that or not. Mine are all still sitting in a tin. I haven't looked at any of them actually. So.
I always felt like that was like when I went to her home for Christmas for the first time, it was very interesting. Her mom made everything spiritualized and a spiritual step, and so that's not a bad thing. It was just, for me, I was just wasn't quite focused in that area. I was more focused on Renette and less on the reverence of Christmas, I suppose. But anyway, we put them in the envelope, and I never wanted to look at them again because I was afraid I'd be a failure.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
But it is a great way of giving yourself a symbol to Christ. Anybody else got a thought?
Just kind of along that line of the symbol, and one of the things that my family does is we like to collect nativities from different countries that we've have had the opportunity to serve, sometimes long term, sometimes just a week or so. And I love the different, like the intricacies and how they represent their culture a lot. Like our nativity from Haiti, it all fits into a coconut shell, and the nativity, the like manger stable area is the actual coconut. But we had the chance this year to go see a movie, Christmas with the Chosen.
Yeah, we did.
And I think for me, like watching that, it just reminded me of the reality that it's not just like these figurines, you know, like growing up in a Christian home and seeing the nativity and knowing the Christmas story, sometimes it can just become a story. And so for me, like since I've watched that movie, like when I look at our nativities that are kind of scattered throughout our house, like I'm just reminded of the reality, like of the messiness. And in that movie, like Joseph was scooping manure. So she had a place to lay. I was like it smelled in there, like really bad.
Yeah.
And just the reality of that this is not a story, that they were real people.
Yeah.
And it was a real pregnancy and a real delivery, which is
Yeah.
painful and messy and amazing, and how scared she must have been. And so there's just been these like constant reminders, because we have so many nativity sets in our house. Like everywhere I look, it's like, oh my gosh, like this is such a real story.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's everything for us as believers, right? Without that story, without Jesus coming to earth on a rescue mission, then we got nothing. So I don't know if that answers your question
No,
exactly.
yeah, I
like
think
it's
it's
not
great.
what I'm offering, but that symbol of those nativities has become so much more powerful this year for me.
Well, it's just so great to just to be a part of that story, isn't it? Just to hear the story of Jesus and know that his story has become our story, and our story has become his story. It's just one of those things that just makes you feel like you're in a place where there's just the warmth of acceptance and hope, and just the presence of home. And so we hope that you enjoyed this time with us today, and that you enjoyed our little family gathering. I just want to say, before we take off today, that we know that Jesus and his story is often in conflict with the realities of our life. And that sometimes our lives are very cluttered with the fears, the misconceptions of who he is, the moments of fear that is in our life. And so we understand that there's a conflict with that. But here's what we want you to know. We want you to know that Jesus brings light to all of those situations. And if you're a family that's struggling with disabilities and with juggling of doctor's visits and paying bills and all the things that can clutter this time of year in your life, we want you to know that every one of us here at Lift, we honor you and we love you, and we are praying for you. We care about where you're at. So we hope that you'll take a minute and just find a way to allow the life that comes from Christ to flow and to re-energize your life today. Maybe you'll want to take a minute and just think about, is there a symbol that I have that reminds me of Christ alive in me? Is there a symbol of something that I have that I want to show him my commitment, my dedication, my love for him? Maybe there's a symbol that you'll want to represent you to the rest of the world, like Elizabeth was saying, that throughout the year you'll want to provide this symbol as something that represents the joy that Jesus has brought into your life. Whatever the case is, we just hope that you will just celebrate the life and the joy of Jesus during this time of the year. So guys, I think we need to say Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
And so here you go.
Everybody,
Everybody.
that was completely
All right,
unheard.
so here we go. Everybody ready?
Yeah.
They don't know what's
We don't know what we're
coming.
ready for. What are we ready
We
for?
wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish
Merry Christmas. We
wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Oh, that was awful.
God bless you guys.